TLDR, after almost 18 years the missus is with child. It has been an emotional roller coaster the last week. Hap hope, full story below for those interested. After nearly 18 years, PCOS, endometriosis, anemia, surgeries, a miscarriage 12 years ago, less than 4 weeks, hormones, tests, heartache, tears, and thousands of dollars, it finally happened. The missus, 35F, and I, 40M, had all but given up hope on having a biological child, and it all happened out of the blue. On Monday of this past week, the missus worked early, said she got to work and was feeling a bit off. Her lady's time had been regular for the first time ever for about the last year. She was late a month or so. Decided to take a pregnancy test at lunch, which was positive. Said she was going to wait until she got home to tell me. A few hours later, she began bleeding. She left work and called her sister, who is an RN, who said she was probably miscarrying and gave her advice on what to do. She came home. I could tell she was distraught, and when she told me, I was totally gobsmacked. Felt like a totally cruel joke that she would find out that she was pregnant and then start miscarrying hours later, on April Fool's Day no less. The next morning, she made an appointment with a doctor we had been to previously. The appointment was for today, Friday. So the whole week, we are both dreading that day. It was like a black cloud over our home, making everything dark and gray. It put us both in a bad place. I am rather ignorant of a lot of things concerning female anatomy and pregnancy, and had major panic over what she might have to physically endure. DNC? Surgery? Knowing that mentally she felt less than a woman for not being able to carry a child. I have hardly slept a wink in days. We went in this morning and they started with an ultrasound. As soon as that little bean showed on the monitor, I saw a little flicker of rhythmic light flashing. Seeing that little heartbeat took my breath away. For the first time in my life, I bawled in front of my wife and a stranger. To make a long story short, she is almost 7 weeks along. The doctor said Mama and the baby are fine. Nothing that had occurred up to this point was uncommon. He also stated that if the baby makes it to 12 weeks, our chances increase greatly. We had went to this appointment expecting sad news and left that office today with the greatest amount of hope we have had in a long time. I know a lot of women suffer with many of the same issues my wife has had. At one point, a different doctor had said it was highly unlikely that she would have a viable pregnancy at all. I know we are not out of the woods just yet, but I feel it in these old bones that our time is now. Even if this little bean doesn't make it to a full-blown human, it is still possible. There is hope. In the meantime, I'm gonna pamper the shit out of my blue-eyed girl. A girl I went to school with, who works for her family company, has started styling herself as a self-made woman in business and has even posted about speaking at an event about how to break down barriers for women to get into senior positions. Am I right to say that's a neck like a jockey's bollocks? Moaning Michael. I would normally just ignore this like this, but there is something about this one that really irks me. There is a girl I went to school with. We were not really friends, but had a lot of mutual friends and still follow each other on social media, etc. After we left school, she had a couple of admin jobs around companies in Dublin before leaving to work with her family company. The company is a small building service company run by her dad and her brother. She then, over the years, started styling herself as the business girl, challenging the status quo. A quote from her LinkedIn, which she shares on her Instagram stories. And again, this didn't really bother me because everyone posts shite on social media and she's far from the only one that trying to embellish her life on SM. Her job titles kept changing every few months and went from admin to office manager, head of office management, and then chimerical director. I would point out here that the company has about 10 to 12 employees, and I'm not even sure they have an office, as the registered address is an industrial yard. Again, this wasn't bothering me too much, but then when she bought a house, she kept posting about how all her hard work had finally paid off, which I thought was a bit cheeky. The one that really got, she started to post about speaking at an event about women in senior positions in companies and how to break down the barriers that exist. For me, this was a bit much because she is clearly in her role because her family owned the company. Now, I do want to stress, I in no way have any issues with someone working for their family company, and if I had the option, I would 100% be doing the same. But is it not unbelievably brazen to be standing on a stage claiming you broke down barriers to get your job when you got it because your family run the business, or talk about all the hard work of building a business that your dad and brother set up? Maybe it's just me, but if I had a job this way, I would be keeping my mouth firmly shut and just go about my business. My boomer dad is pissed I won't give him baby's SSSHAR boomer freakout. That's right, my dad thinks I should just give him my kid's SSSHAR, like it's no big deal. He wants to start a bank account for my little guy. Sounds harmless, but my parents suck at taking care of their finances. They have been bankrupt at least once and bailed out every few years by my grandparents while they were still living. When I moved out at 20, I found out they had overdue utility bills in my name, so I couldn't open up any accounts for my first apartment until I paid it off for them. They took money from me as a minor while I was working at my first job and emptied $1,500 from my savings account. Never paid it back to this day. I don't trust them at all. Parents have been hounding my hubby and I for weeks, if not months, and we have been politely dodging it. My parents starting getting pissy. I politely told my dad, parents, that baby already has a savings account and they can contribute to that if they like. Boy, did they flip the fuck out. Demands baby's SSN and starts calling us names. I flat out say no at this point. I tell them they didn't need SSHAS to open a savings account in which baby is beneficiary. They counter that they do. They then proceed to tell me my baby won't receive any money from them until they get it. Don't care. Pretty sure they don't have shit anyways besides the inheritance money after my grandparents died that they are literally smoking through. My dad even had my grandpa change his will less than 6 months before his death and showing signs of dementia. My grandpa, right before he died, asked me what my dad had him sign and showed me the new will, asking me to translate it. It was leaving the us grandkids out. And Dad was sole proprietor, executor, and power of attorney. Everything was changed. No point in contesting it. Hubby and I want to cut ties and move far, far away anyhow. We could not care less over 10 or 15K. Just more ways they abuse money and positions of power. I called one of the top 5 nationwide banks in the US and they say you don't. Either way, it's not happening. They tried to corner my husband behind my back, and he didn't budge either. The anger continues. Snide comments at every holiday so far, and baby's birthday is coming up. I don't care. My idiot brother dolled out his kid's SSN without consent from his wife or thinking about it. My parents say I don't trust them. No shit. Someone with good intentions doesn't get this angry. Edit, wow, I was not expecting this much traction on my boomer dad vent. Thank you for the comments, support, and overall encouragement to stay strong and tell them to fuck off. Reading many of your stories and how so many of you all can relate or have credit ruined by family has certainly cemented my plans to protect my kiddos' SSN at all costs. I'm sorry for those that have been permanently affected by identity and financial fraud by a close family member. I can't reply to all of you, but my heart and sympathies are in your corner. Fuck those assholes for what they have done to you guys. For those wondering why I still have contact with my family, it is very LC, almost NC to be honest. We don't live that close, and they don't have active roles in our lives. We see them maybe 6x a year at large family functions, holidays that are unavoidable. There are plenty of buffers, and they typically behave around extended family. For those questioning me on my lack of spine, dealing with a narcissist is like talking to a brick wall. I have been NC before, and I have stated we would do it again, no problem. I have a spine. I did say no. I was politely blowing them off and changing the subject, hoping they would get the fucking hint, so I could avoid the impending drama. Once they became aggressive with us, I did tell them we don't trust them. Sorry I did not detail that enough, apparently. They don't have the SSN, nor will they ever. They can bring it up all they want. IDGAF. We barely see them, and this keeps them in an at-bay zone that we can control. If we cut them out completely, they would go nuts, try and go for grandparents' rights and all kind of other bullshit drama I don't want to fucking deal with, while dragging our whole extended family in as well. keeping them on a carrot and stick relationship and letting them think they have any control when they don't works for us. As for my nephew, he is a few months older than my kiddo, born in the same year. I have discussed my concerns and that's all I can do. It is their choice what to do next. I hope they freeze and monitor. My kid's SSN has been safely tucked away since it came in the mail and not available at all. I will lock his hack until he's 18 after we set up a Roth and 529 we have already planned. Thank you for all the support and I bid you good night. Am I the asshole for breaking up with my ex-boyfriend because he tried to tamper with my birth control? Advice needed. I, 23F, broke up with my boyfriend of almost 2 years, Todd, 26M, on Sunday, 2 days ago. I broke up with him because, as the title suggested, he tried to mess with my birth control. I told Todd that I intend to be child-free until I obtain my PhD and get a position with tenure at a university. I told him I was on birth control and had no intention of getting off it, and that it would be better if we doubled up with condoms. He said okay. 2 days ago, we were chilling in my apartment, and I told him I was going to take a bath and listen to one of my audiobooks. I heard the microwave go off and thought that Todd was making mac and cheese or something. I hopped in the tub and was about to start when I remembered I have a bath bomb that I was gifted at my friend's baby shower. I got out of the tub to get it from my room, and I found Todd messing with the pill packet I keep next to my bed. I have a missing gallbladder after several attacks, and I have to take prescription laxatives sometimes to be able to control my poop. The packet looks similar, and by similar I mean almost the exact same, to a birth control packet, including the silver foil and the color of the pills. I asked him what he was doing and for him to hand me my pills. The package was warm. I asked him what the hell he was doing with my pills, and he broke down about how he's successful in his job and I should want to have a family with him after 2 years. I told him to get out of my apartment, and before I slammed the door on him, let him know I had an arm implant birth control and that he microwaved my shit pills. I blocked his number, but he's been contacting me through my university's email and is refusing to take no for an answer when he apologizes. His mom's been texting me, as well as some of his friends and his sisters, telling me I'm juvenile for breaking up with him when I knew he wouldn't have been successful in tampering with my birth control because I wasn't on the pill anyway. I feel so angry and violated, but they're right. Nothing would have happened and I'm starting to think I overreacted. Ada?